Okay. First of all, I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your schedule here to come to this particular session. Really appreciate it. What we're going to do is we're going to talk here the topic, how to be a thousandaire. And what we mean by that is really for the new person, one of the most important things that can happen for them is that when they come into the business and they make a little investment in their business, that they have the ability to recapture the money that they've invested and to become profitable, and to do this as quickly as possible. I do like to, when we do these particular sessions, we'll do a lot of interacting, so I'll throw some questions out, and if you think you have the answer, throw it back, okay? But when we talk about becoming a thousandaire, we talk about taking that new person and helping them to not only recapture the money that they've laid out to get started in the business, but to become profitable. Why is that so important? Let's think about that for a moment. Why is that so critical for that new person? Does anyone know? What does it build for them? It totally builds up their belief. And what we have to recognize is that when a new person comes into this business, most people don't have a lot of business building experience. Most people don't have that type of background where they're comfortable getting into business, having to talk to people, having to recruit people, having to get customers. So when they come into this, they come in with a little bit of fear. They come in not knowing. They see other people making it work. They see people that are getting results on the products. They see people that are making money. But the question that really looms in their mind is, I see it's working for them, but will it really work for me? And if you can help that person to earn that $1,000 plus back quickly and get into profit very quickly, preferably in their first 2 weeks, if you can do that, now their level of belief begins to come up. And that's what we want to talk about in this particular session. And so I'm not only going to talk about how you, when a new person comes in and makes that $1,000 within their first 2 weeks, but I'm also going to show you how that model of taking a person, if you do it and then you teach it, I'm also going to show you how that model can turn into something much, much, much more than just $1,000 in your Visi business. Now, before I start by putting some diagrams on the board, and by the way, I am very old school in this business. They said, you want to have some slides? And I said, no, get me a whiteboard. Part of it is being Italian, where I've always got to be doing stuff with my hands when I'm doing. So the thing is I like to work off of a whiteboard. Call me old-fashioned. That's okay. But before I can put the diagram on the board and show you what that $1,000 looks like, what I want to do is I want to share with you some of the fundamental concepts that you have to engage in, because if I say, well, to make 1,000, you just do this and this and this. If you don't know what to do to get to this, this, and this, what good is it, right? You have to know what you have to do to get to that particular diagram. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on these particular things right now. I'm just going to highlight them for you for the sake of our discussion. And what's going to happen is I am going to do a breakout session after this at 5:30. I know there are several breakouts going on. But we're going to go into in ours, we're going to go into more detail on these particular things. But I'm going to highlight them for you here right now. Obviously, when a new person comes in, one of the first things we have to do, I think is important, is help them define their why. Why are they doing this? What is it that they want out of this business? When we opened up this convention today, what was the first thing that was discussed? The why. Why are we here? Why are we doing this? We teach this in our training. It's very, very important, because if you don't know what it is that you want, ultimately, how can you hit a target that you don't even know exists, right? So we need to extract that out of a new person. Then, we have the fundamentals of building a business. We teach people to make a contact list, right? Get a list of names together. We start with family, neighbors, friends, coworkers, people we care about. Hopefully they feel the same way about you when you put them on the list, right? So we have to begin with some type of a list. So we teach people to go ahead and get a list of names together and work with that. And the third thing here is they have to contact the people on that list, right? You got to make the list, but you also have to contact and you have to invite those people to take a look at what it is that we're doing here. You have to look at the company and the product and the opportunity. The next thing that we have to do is we have to invite them to something, and the fourth thing would be some type of a presentation. Some type of a presentation. I use this phrase a lot, a tool-driven presentation. What I mean by a tool-driven presentation, it could be a conference call, it could be a video, it could be an audio, it could be some type of literature. You were just showing me a little document that you made that you sit down with people. Regardless of what that tool is, you want it to be a tool because people can duplicate tools. There's an old expression in this business, people are not duplicatable, but tools and systems are, right? You might have, has anyone here gone into the experts workshop that was a little while ago where they talked about the products and the science? Was that outstanding? It was unbelievable, right? Now, if you had a prospect in there and they heard that, would they be likely to become a customer or even sign up? Yeah, but do you think they could walk out of that room and duplicate that, what was said there? No, not in a million years, right? Not in a million years. So the point is, we want to make sure that what we do is replicable with the people that we're bringing into the business. And then, of course, the fifth thing is follow up and follow through. Okay, that's important. Someone reviews some tools, they review some presentations, they jump on some calls. You got to follow it up and follow through with that person, maybe do a three-way call. The sixth thing here, get new people started right. You know, you want to make sure that when someone does make the commitment to get in, that we educate them on the packs that we have, the benefits of those packs. And then the last thing that I'm going to put here just on the bottom is just there's an accountability thing. And accountability is when we talk about if you have team calls, like you have teams that do conference calls on a weekly basis. Teach everyone that you bring into your business to be accountable and support your team's calls. If there are meetings coming up in your area, be accountable to support those meetings. Now, these are the basic fundamentals of the business. These are the basic fundamentals of what we do every single day. This is your daily method of operation. It's knowing what you want. It's having a list of people to talk to, inviting those people to take a look, getting them dialed into some type of a presentation. Then it's following it up, following it through, getting any questions they have answered, getting those new people started properly. And then once you begin to duplicate that, it's having everyone accountable to calls and meetings and functions. Does that make sense? Now, some people might name these things different, but when you peel it back and step back, the fundamentals are what they are. We don't change them. Jim Rohn, one of my favorite speakers, used to say, try to go into an antique store and ask if they have any new antiques. There's no such thing as a new antique. Fundamentals have been around for thousands of years of how to build organizations. They haven't changed, nor will they change. And they may have different names, but the fundamental things stand true. So this is what these are the activities, a pattern of activities that we have to engage in if we want to make this diagram that I'm about to share with you work. So I'll be referencing this a little bit as I go through this particular process. Now, let's take a look at how we become a thousandaire. I'm going to give you a model here that I think is pretty exciting. Let's assume for a moment, I'm going to play this as though you're the new person. And I'm going to show you how, as a new person, you could come in and within your first 2 weeks, literally be profitable in your business within your first 2 weeks. If you come in, I'm going to say that this is you, and you come in with one of our $1,000 packs. I'm just going to use this in a general term now because we have some different packs that we have, and not everybody is familiar at 100% with what those are. But let's just say that you come in with one of our $1,000 packs. Those packs carry a $1,000 qualifying volume or personal volume. And what we mean by $1,000 personal volume is that when you do that pack, the qualifying volume or the personal volume is what you can use toward rank advancement. Does that make sense? You can use that towards qualifying and rank advancement. The $500 that's associated with that pack is what's called commissionable volume, and that is volume that falls into the dual team or into the binary tree. And that, for the dual team bonus, the team volume commissions, you get paid on that commissionable volume. Does that make sense? So you have two different things that are associated with one pack, qualifying volume and commissionable volume. One enables you to build toward ranks for rank advancing. Another one is what commissions get paid out on with respect to the team volume commission. So let's assume for a moment that you come in with this pack. This is your starting point. Now, what are some of the benefits here? And I'm going to outline these. What are some of the benefits that you get by coming in with this pack? And I'm going to share with you a couple of things here that I think are important for us to consider, that when we talk to new people, we want to be able to explain this to them with respect to this pack. When you join with that pack, what are some of the benefits? What's the first benefit that's the most obvious, the number one reason why most people do it? You get, there you go, absolutely right. Excellent, 20%. So you get pushed to that 20% level for a period of 24 weeks. And that's substantial because in that 24-week period, if you're working at all, the amount of money extra that you make over that 24-week period, because you're at 20%, can be significant versus not coming in this way. Does that make sense? So there's a huge benefit to that. But it also gives you, I'll add a couple of them up here, products to use personally. You want to get on the products right away. You want to use the products right away. You want to develop your belief in the product line. You want to get results on the product line. In addition to that, it gives you product to what we refer to as library. What I mean by that is, let's say, for example, I come in, I buy this package, now I'm going to sign up my friend. My friend's going to have to wait 5, 6, 7 days to get their kit. Librarying is me loaning them some product to use while they're waiting for their stuff, and then when they get their stuff, they can just replace it. Because it's better to get a new person on the product right away than have them wait 5 or 6 days for it. Would you all agree with that? Okay, but if you don't have it, you can't do that, and you create this lag time, which is very important to consider and understand in this business. So librarying the product out. Now, you may not always do that. You may have people at a distance that you can't do that with, but some people you may do that with. And of course, the last thing here is customers. You know, not everybody that you show this as a business is going to want to get involved and become a partner. Some people are only going to want the product, and so some of the people may be purchasing some of these products from you, and you can generate some customers. So having that pack, there are some benefits, and there are more than this in terms of benefit, but at the most part, you get 20%, which is great. You have the savings inside of the pack, which is really, really important, and you have the ability to get on the product, use them, have some if you need to share with a distributor or a partner, and then, of course, you have the ability to develop customers as you go along. So that's some of the benefits of having this pack and some of the important reasons for having this pack. Now, as a new person, what we're going to do is we're going to teach you some basic fundamental concepts. Now, the team that you're dialed into can take and show you what they're doing specifically, but I guarantee you, no matter what they dial you into, it's going to revolve around this to some degree. There's going to be putting together a list, inviting people, there's going to be some type of presentation, there's going to be follow-up, there's going to be getting new people started a certain way, and then, of course, there's going to be accountability to the team with calls, meetings, functions, whatever that might be, correct? So no matter how you label it or list it or whatever the strategy is, I want you to catch the overall concept of what we're talking about here. So you come in, you purchase this pack, you've got these benefits. Now our objective is to help you to begin in this process, okay? So first thing we do is we help you get a list of names together. Then we show you what you say to invite people to take a look. Your team gets you dialed into whatever tools they might be using, okay? And then the follow-up and the follow-through and so on and so forth. So let's say in your first week in the business, and let's coin this week 1, okay? Week 1. You get into action. And by the way, let me share something with you that's critical. It is very, 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 very important. Did I say very important? To start fast, okay? Starting fast, I think, is very important because it enables you to create momentum. You always want to be consistent. That's really important. But if you can come out of the gates quickly, it's always better than coming out of the gates slowly. Just like a rocket, if you look at a rocket on a launch pad, it bubbles up and you see the smoke and you see the sparks, and then finally it gets off and it goes into orbit. Did you know that a rocket will burn up 80% of its fuel or more just getting off the launch pad? Very important. That momentum has to happen in the beginning, I think, to get off to a very quick start. Since unfortunately some people will start much, much, much slower, and it's just harder to build the story. So the consistency has to come in. But you want to get people off to a fast start. So they come in, they put a list of names together, they start inviting people, they get people dialed into the presentation mechanics of what their team is doing. And what will begin to happen is now in week number 1, if you've done this and you've got some people in the pipeline, you will sponsor someone on your left team and sponsor someone on your right team. And they're going to duplicate what you did. So they'll come in with a pack for the same reasons that you did. It has a $1,000 qualifying volume and $500 in commissionable volume. So now you got one left, one right in week number 1. Now let's take a look at what that does for you in terms of income. Okay? First, there is something called a pack bonus, correct? So if you sponsor one left and one right with a $1,000 pack, what is the pack bonus that's paid on the $1,000 pack? $200. So you've got one left, one right. That's 200 times 2, which is $400 you just earned in pack bonuses that week. Okay? Now, because you sponsored one left and one right inside of that pay period, what have you just now qualified for? New Rising Sun bonus. So the Rising Sun bonus basically says that if you sponsor one left and one right inside of a pay period, that you now earn, as long as they come in with the pack, you now earn 50% of what your pack bonus would be on top of it. So $400, 50% of that would be another $200. Okay? Now, on top of that, there's 500 commissionable volume on your left and 500 commissionable volume on your right. We have this thing called the team volume commission, okay, or binary bonus, or whatever you want to call it. You qualify at 20% now because you came in with that big pack, right? So 20% of 500, because the both legs would be exactly the same in this example, 20% would be an additional what? $100. So in this example here, $400 in pack bonuses, $200 Rising Sun bonus, $100 in team volume commission, that is $700 that you just made in your first week. Now, if you're a brand new person and you've never done anything like this before, maybe you've never been in business before, do you think that would spark a person's belief a little bit in their first week if they made $700 in their first week? Yes, it's going to help them to have a little bit more belief. They're going to be a little bit more excited about it. They're going to think, I think this can work. Like what's the old story? I think I can, right? So that's what's going to happen. Now, keep in mind, if you launch a person correctly, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be happening for them. Not everybody is going to get to this point in week number one. They're going to have a lot of prospects that are still looking that carry over into week number two. So what's going to happen is, as long as this person launched and they've got a lot of stuff in the funnel or in the pipeline, let's just say in week number two, they're able to sponsor 2 more people, okay? Because again, they've made their list, they invited, they're dialing people into presentations. In the first week, they got one left, one right. Let's say in the second week, they sponsor another one left and another one right. Well, guess what just happened in week number 2? Same numbers. By sponsoring another one left and another one right, in week number 2, the exact same thing happens that happened in week number 1, wouldn't it? $400 in pack bonuses. They trigger the Rising Sun bonus. They make another $200 in Rising Sun. They get another $100 team volume commission. So now they make another $700 because they did it in week number 2. So their income at this point, under this example, would be $1,400 inside of their first 2 weeks or 2 periods in the business. So they have now, in essence, recaptured their investment, and their business can begin to become profitable now. And that doesn't include any customers that they might have picked up, because not everybody that they're presenting this to is going to want to dive into the business. Some people are going to say, well, you know, I don't know, timing's not right for me right now, but my goodness, this skin stuff, tell me about it, right? And they become a customer. So that doesn't count customer money. You may have this person and this person sign up somebody in week number 2, which would add to this. So we're not counting that. I'm just showing that if you can get a new person to come in on this model and engage and get one left, one right in week number 1, one left, one right in week number 2, their income would be, based on this example, $1,400. Guess what? Congratulations, you just became a thousandaire. You made $1,000 in the business. And part of Kent Lewis's vision with this is to create an environment where you can take that new person and you can bring them in and you can show them a simple model where if they hit it, they can make that $1,400, build up their belief, and it's amazing what happens when someone all of a sudden now starts to develop a little bit of belief. It's the old expression, the further you see, the further you go. The further you go, the further you what? See. And the further you see, the further you go. So it's what happens. Someone comes in, they do this, they make that $700 first week, they replicate it, they make the $700 the next week, so they're at $1,400. Now they think, oh my goodness, I can do this. This will work for me. So what they do is they go out there and they do a little bit more, and all of a sudden their income grows and grows. Then what happens is where the magic really occurs. They begin to teach this, and the people in their group begin to pick up on it, and this model begins to duplicate. You want to light my fire, this is what we're going to talk about next. And this is where it gets really exciting, because on the surface of it, there's a lot of people out there maybe that are successful, maybe that do think a little bit bigger than $1,000, and they think, well, $1,000, why would I want to get involved in a business where I make $1,000? So you have to be able to show that person that this is just the model to get started with. This model can take you way bigger than this. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. By the way, are there any questions on this part of it before I go to the next step? No, it's pretty self-explanatory. Come in with the pack, Sponsor one left, one right, you make it. Sponsor one left, one right, you make it. Can you do this in 1 week and get that in the first week? Yes, I think it's 3 times. You can hit it 3 times inside of 1 week. So you can do this in 1 week if you want to go faster. But this is a model. Okay, so let me show you. I don't think we have an eraser up here. Oh, well. They don't. That's okay. I'll just do it right here. So let's take a look at something that's really interesting here. And this is one of the things that gets me excited. Once you get this model down and you begin to teach it, some interesting things will begin to happen. You get into a situation where if you do this Thousandaire model where you just made your 1,400, let's take a look at the volume that you've produced over this 2-week period. Okay? Now this is qualifying volume. This is for rank advancement. Oh, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to give us some room over here. Take a look at that volume for a moment. And let's analyze this for a minute. Now let's look at qualifying volume. Okay? There's 1,000 that you did, plus 1,000, plus 1,000. That's 3,000, 4,000, $5,000 in volume that you did over that 2-week period. Okay? 5,000. By the way, you sponsor into the business, you get one left and one right. What rank are you? Arctic Star. Is that the foundational rank in the company? Pretty much, yeah, right? If you can become a star and manufacture stars in your organization, you can score big, you can grow fast. So, but look at the model here, because I want you to expand your mind a little bit and think like the CEO of Starbucks or McDonald's in terms of big, okay, for a moment. That's 5,000 in volume. What would happen if this were you now? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna erase this. I'm gonna do this a little bit bigger because this is pretty amazing. You all got where I got the 5,000 from, right? Okay, so let's analyze this for a moment. And again, this is something that I think we need to be able to explain to people who want to think a little bit bigger. If this is you, what would happen if you sponsored one person left and one person right who you taught to duplicate that model? That's 5,000 left and 5,000 right. Where does that basically put you from a rank standpoint with those numbers, PETV, $10,000 personal enrollment tree volume? What is that? That's right, Arctic 4-star. What have you just now earned? Got your car bonus, right? Now, what if we trained these people and they each went out and they each sponsored 2 people that they trained to do it? Okay? 5, 10, 15, that's 20,000 in PETV. What rank are you now? Anybody? 20,000. Arctic 5-star. What have you just qualified for now? Your first what? Rank advance bonus. Okay? Now, what happens if these people each did it? Okay? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. 40,000 PETV, if it fell exactly this way. It'll never fall exactly this way, but I'm illustrating the potential power of this. 40,000 PETV, what is that rank? Arctic Premier? What have you qualified for? $2,500 rank advance bonus now, okay? So just by getting a few people on your left team and a few people on your right team to begin to embrace this concept of Thousandaire, they can make money, their belief builds, and by replicating this concept, you see how this model can take you far beyond $1,000. You know, what's your cap at Premier? Anybody? Can you make a lot of money as a Premier? Absolutely. We've got Premiers that make a lot of money. And so the point is, or the concept is that you want to first be able to teach the new person to duplicate this process, to get this process, so they can make that $1,400. Then once they do that, if you can embrace the concept of one left, one right, get them duplicating that, you have a model here that can duplicate into something that becomes somewhat of a monster. You take that down one more level, and if these guys each get 2, you're looking at 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 40, you're looking at 80,000 in volume. You're almost an emerald at this point. That's big. That's a huge rank in the compensation model. So the point that I make here is simply this. What we're teaching you with this particular breakout session is simply this. Sometimes the little simple things can become really, really big things. And it all begins by developing and building a belief, helping a person to believe in themselves, helping a person to believe a little bit more. That happens when they can become profitable. They begin to start seeing a little bit of money. And then once they understand that model, they can lock on and begin to teach people on the left, teach people on the right. It can duplicate into something dramatic. When you look at people in Visi who are producing these results, who are rank advancing, up the scale, and you see people that are making this money, this is what is occurring within their organization. One left, one right, teach them to duplicate, and that's what is happening. Now, you will always have some people that you'll sponsor that won't sponsor anybody. Does that happen to anybody? Okay, but you'll sponsor some people that might sponsor 50 people. So this will unfold in time if you're consistent, if you're persistent, and you're accountable to it. So the model, again, is very, very simple. One left, one right. Inside of that 1 week period, you make that 400 in pack bonuses. You trigger the Rising Sun bonus. You earn the team volume commission. And if you do that twice, you're over $1,400 in income, and away you go. And then you begin to duplicate that, and the sky is absolutely the limit. It's unbelievable what can happen. Does anybody have any questions on this model? And by the way, does the concept of this, if the first part of this, of one left, one right, one left, one right, bang, you're at 1,400. If that's simple, if that's easy, if that's not a big deal to teach someone, if that's something that can be duplicated, does that get you excited to know that you can begin to replicate this in your organization? And where can that take you? Right? And how many lives are being changed in here for these people achieving this? Quite a number. And if you look at what we have our hands on right now, if you look at what was introduced today with the introduction of Vara, okay, with the new energy formulation that produced these results, if you look at Fora now with samples, to be able to go into meet with someone that you know or bump into someone, have a discussion, and put a sample in their hand, I'm telling you, it's going to be like fishing with dynamite, right? Because everybody wants to look better, right? Everybody wants to look better. But the thing is, most people, they love that sample. You get them emotionally involved. They try it. It smells great. It feels great. It absorbs into your skin. They're automatically going to want the cleanser and the Fora to try it. You're going to be able to, this is going to be like popcorn. We do this the right way, okay? But the key to the whole thing is understand the baseline fundamentals that we have to build with. List the names, invite, duplication, presentation, follow up, follow through, get new people started right, accountability, and teach people this concept or this model of Thousandaire, and then get it duplicating, and the sky's the limit. Any questions on any of this?
Just the issue of dual team commissions is critically important in terms of maintaining that auto-ship.
Auto-ship, yeah.
Without the continuity of auto-ship, you have a bunch of names, but
that's right. Absolutely right. It's one of the fundamental principles. In fact, some of the bonuses inside of our compensation plan are tied to auto-ship. The pack bonuses are tied to auto-ship. So if you're not on auto-ship and you sponsor people, you don't get the pack bonuses. So you want to make sure that you're on auto-ship. It's critical. Think of it this way, and this is kind of the concept that I've always used, is if everybody duplicated what you did, would you be happy? Okay, that's good. Okay, if you're not on auto-ship and everybody duplicated you, would you be happy? No. No, it's like a big piece of Swiss cheese, right? You know, there's holes everywhere, man. You don't want that. So auto-ship is a component in the system. It's making a commitment to use the products. It's making a commitment to support your business. And as people support that and they commit to that, you build a solid organization built on a solid foundation. One of the things that's important is to always try to focus. The actions that I'm taking, the things that I'm doing, I need to build on rock, not on sand. And if I have to make some commitments so that I can be the best partner that I can be, so that my team replicates me, that's what I have to do. And it's a very important point. Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Usually when I get to going twice, a hand pops up. Sure. The basic structure of our compensation plan is what's called a binary plan. Binary actually means two. And so what we do is we have a left team and a right team, two teams. We also call it a left leg, a left line, a right line. All these terms are used interchangeably. So left team, left leg, right leg. What happens is, as you sponsor one on your left and one on your right, those two first people that you sponsor delineate the teams. So anything that grows from that first person on your left leg, no matter where it goes, is all considered part of that left leg. Anything that grows from that first person on your right leg, no matter how big or how deep it grows, all traces back to that first person is considered part of your right leg. Does that make sense? Okay, let me do it. This is why I got the whiteboard. See, old school rules, baby. Can't do this with a PowerPoint. You get someone home to do a PowerPoint. Now try to do that one when that question comes up. Okay. Okay. If this is you right here, what you're saying is, if you sponsor one on your left, one on your right, you now know that that separates your left and right team. Now, is your question the next person that you sponsor, or if someone else sponsors? Okay. 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 If she sponsors two people, one left, one right, those people would delineate her left and right team, but those people would be part of your right team because that's where you sponsored her. Does that make sense? Yep. Does that make sense? This leg here, let's just say, for example, that this built down. This would always be your right leg, and this would always be, if this is her, what is your name? Janice. Okay. If this is Janice, okay, you would have this leg in common with Janice. Okay? So anything that grew over here would be Janice's right leg, but it would also be your right leg. But Janice's left leg is still your right leg. Does that make sense? Yes. So it'll branch out like a tree. It'll branch out all over the place. But what delineates your left and your right are the first two people that you have in. Okay? If you got one here, anything, no matter how it grows, if this starts to look like this, just for example, I'm just going to get silly with this. If this starts looking like this, and this starts growing like this, okay, all of this is still your right leg. You see? Each one of these people has their own left and their own right. Okay? They all have their own left and their own right, and it's unbelievable that the computer can keep up with all this, right? But even though you have this kind of thing that happens, each one of these people have a left and a right, but they all are part of your right because they're all under the first person that you placed on your right. Okay? Just like a tree. If you think of a tree branch that grows, all the branches and twigs that come off, they're still off of one branch, right? And no matter how crazy it looks, it's still one branch. Very similar with respect to what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Yes? And those two people don't actually do anything, but you recruit other people, you still put them underneath the left and the right. Okay. Ignore them. So that doesn't affect my earning ability? Nope. Nope. Because here's the kicker. This is based on volume, not based on levels. Okay. So if you sponsor, for example, let's just say that you sponsored this person, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Janice's name out of this circle because I don't want Janice to be this person we're about to talk about, right? Okay, so let's say if you sponsored this person and then you put a couple more people in here and then this blew up like crazy and started doing thousands and thousands in volume, if this person right here is not active, okay, in other words, there's a big zero next to them, not the person, their volume, right? Okay? It doesn't matter because the computer's just looking at volume. It's not looking at levels of anything. That's one of the advantages of this plan, by the way. You could have 20 people that do nothing and then have $1 million a month business underneath them. it still all counts for you. It doesn't hurt you at all. That makes sense.
So then, so then this side, I've made $20,000 every day on my right side. And on my left side, I made $10,000.
Right?
It doesn't matter how many I have on my right, it doesn't matter how many I have on my left. I made 20 here, I made 10 here. That's when we see the right leg in the system and the left leg in the system under the numbers. And then a certain dollar amount's taken from that for our bonus or our weekly.
Yes. So the way that it works, just so that everybody understands that. Gee, thanks, Nancy, for this. The way that it works is that, and again, if you understand this type of a plan, it's unbelievable what can happen, the potential and the power of this plan. If this is you and you sponsor one on the left and one on the right, and let's say your left team does 10,000 in volume, and your right team does 5,000 in volume, okay? The computer, what it does every pay period is when it's getting ready to cut commissions, it searches each leg for volume. That's all it looks at. It doesn't look at how many people, doesn't look at how many levels. All it looks at is volume. And so let's just, for this example, say, okay, there's 10,000 on your left leg. There's 5,000 on your right leg. If you're qualified at 20%, what it's going to do, the way that it really pays, I'm going to give you two illustrations here, okay? What it's going to do in actuality is it's going to say, okay, let's look at which one is the lesser of the two legs. It's going to say that's the $5,000 leg, okay? So what we're going to do is pay a 10% commission on that $5,000. So it's going to cancel the volume out, and it's going to pay you a 10% commission, which would be $500. Then what it's going to do is jump to the big leg and take the same amount of volume, which is 5,000, pay you another 10%. So it's going to pay you another $500, and there's a remaining balance of 5,000 that you didn't get paid on that particular week. That now is going to carry forward to the next week. So when you see RCVCF, right, commissionable volume carried forward, that's what that is. Okay? Now, the question is, well, why does it do that? Why can't it just pay me on everything? Well, if you've got 100 people in your organization and it's paying everybody on everything infinitely with no levels or limits to it, you can see what will happen very, very quickly. It's called Chapter 11, I think. There's got to be some checks and balances. And so what happens is you get paid on this. That's $1,000 you would make. That 5,000 carries forward. And you know, as you're building you're never going to balance these legs out. So don't even try. Don't even think about it. Just focus on building. Focus on the fundamentals. And as you develop your team, the goal is to get both of these teams producing big volume. Big volume. Because then it starts to get pretty significant when you can do that. I've got something like 20-some-odd million dollars in banked volume on one of my legs that I haven't tapped yet. Okay? You know what I call that? Security blanket. Security blanket. So you never lose your volume. It always banks as long as you're on auto ship. You don't ever lose any of your volume. So even if you decide that you need to step away from the business a little bit, keep your auto ship on, keep using the products, okay? Because that way you don't lose any volume that's in reserve for you. You can always come back and build to that volume, okay? But that's how that particular plan works. Now, if there was, I'm going to get to you guys in one second. If there were levels here, now I'll give you an example. Many of you are familiar with a unilevel plan, right? Okay. What if it paid through 7 levels? Let's just say 7-level plan. Well, what happened if you have 100,000 and you were qualified to get paid through 7 levels? What happens if you have 100,000 in volume below your 7th level that you're not qualified to get? Does it bank it for you? No. I'd rather have it banked than just let it go, right? So there's checks and balances. Some might say, well, you only get paid on the small leg. Well, if you're focusing on building a big business, then eventually you'll have a big business, you'll make more money. Okay? That's a lot of times people try to take shots at the binary plan. Well, it's not a good plan because you don't get paid in the lesser leg. Well, if you're looking at, you know, what I'm going to make in the next 2 months, they might have a point. But if you're going to build a business, this will pay you more. In a unilevel plan, I've built them in the past, there's a lot of volume that you don't get paid on. And not only do you not get paid on it, it doesn't bank for you. So you had a question, sir.
So you do you get one, 2 people, and you got a right and left leg.
Yes.
You get ambitious, so I'm going to get another 2 people and start another column.
Right. What you do is if you've got one left and one right, now you sponsor two more, what you would do is you'd sponsor one down here and one down here. You're always building left-right, and you're just working in depth. No, plan won't allow you to do that. That's one of the value benefits of this type of plan is it's very cooperative. If I sponsor one left and one right, now I have a third one to sponsor, I have to go down underneath one of my people to put them there. So it's very, and they can get paid on that, and they can count that as rank advancement volume too. Yeah, it definitely helps, and it helps to build established belief. So there was one question over here. Okay. 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 I got you. You're next. I got you next. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You've got the left and the right. You've got the 5,000 on one side, 10,000 on the other. You get paid off a shorter leg.
Yes.
Right? So where did you get that 5,000 on the left side if your right leg is shorter?
Okay. This here. Okay. So let's just say 10,000 and 5,000. The computer looks at the volume here and the volume here, so it sees the 10 and it sees the 5. It looks for the smaller of the two teams, which would be over here. Pays you 10% on that, so you get $500. Cancels that out. Then it jumps over here and pays you another 10% on the same amount of volume, which is 5,000. So you get another 500. It cancels it out, and there's 5,000 left. That banks and carries forward to the next week. Well, here in this example I gave you, that'd be a $1,000 commission. Remember I said there was a second scenario? What's 20% of 5,000? Same number, right? Same number. Same exact number. It always works out to be the same number, but I train it this way to show how the plan actually does calculate commissions, and there's a reason why I train it that way. Does anybody know why? Because if I only said you get 20% of the lesser leg, guess what question's coming next? Well, how come I don't get any percentage on the big leg? In reality, you do, but it's just easier to say 20% of the lesser leg. But I train it specifically this way, even though it's a little more cumbersome. I train it that way because it educates, you know, they are actually getting paid on the bigger leg. It just keeps rolling forward from week to week to week to week. And if you're building, eventually, when you get the other leg growing, you can tap that volume and use it to get paid on. And you may at some point have the small leg becomes your big leg. And so banked volume is a very good thing. If the small leg blows up, no. You had a question, sir. Mm-hmm. My strategy is when you're new and you're just getting started, start building outside left, outside right, okay? When you get your organization really beginning to bustle and you've got some quality leadership in your left leg and your right leg, you can go in there and work under that leader. I would rather put someone under a leader to support that leader than just throw it on the outside leg just for the sake of throwing it on the outside leg. That leader's still in that left leg or that right leg. So, yeah, my attitude is in the beginning, start left, right until you develop a leader, then get into that leader's organization and work with them. Okay. We got about 3 minutes. Okay? Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. You do have to have one personally sponsored left and one personally sponsored right active. That's correct. That's correct. Now you don't lose the volume if you're on auto ship. The volume banks, but you do have to have one personal left, one personal right in the plan to be able to do that. And by the way, just so you know, I know that there are a number of different breakout sessions going on. We're going to do, in about 15 minutes, we're going to start a new one here that's going to focus in a lot more detail on this stuff, how to do this stuff. So if you're not committed to another one, you're more than welcome to hang out for that one. But if you have to go to another one, that's cool too, because they're all great. Yes?
So if you sponsor your first layer and you brought in another
Yes.
If your first layer then brings in one person, do they then meet Arctic Star if it was done within the same week that you put somebody on their layer?
So in other words, if you have someone that, let's say, they sponsor someone that does the 1,000, and then you put someone underneath them that does 1,000, do they make Arctic Star? Anybody have an answer to that? No. It has to be, you have to personally sponsor too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. No, because if they go inactive and go off auto ship for an extended period of time, eventually for that position only, it'll dissipate out. Whereas for you though, it won't. It'll stay there. We've got to take a quick break, but we're going to start back up again in this room in about 15. So really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming.